Welcome back to BU, the place where you unlock your true potential. In this video, we dive into a story that changed the map of the world, the partition of India and Pakistan. A story of shared roots, rising tensions, and a historic transformation. As you follow along, prepare to explore the emotions, decisions, and moments that turned one land into two nations. This isn't just history. It's a journey into identity, conflict, and resilience. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like, so you never miss out on interesting history videos like this one. Now, let's dive in. Once upon a time, in the vast land of South Asia, one great civilization stood united under the skies. A land of rivers and plains, temples and mosques, bustling bazaars and quiet villages. A land that had seen empires rise and fall. The Mughals, the Marathas, the British. For centuries, people of different faiths and cultures had shared this space, forming a unique mosaic of life. They prayed in different languages, celebrated different festivals, and yet found harmony in shared spaces, streets, schools, and marketplaces. But in 1947, everything changed. A new line was drawn. A new nation was born. One country became two. This is how India and Pakistan were divided. Part 1. The backdrop. To understand the division, we must understand the unity that once existed. India was not a country in a modern sense, but a subcontinent, home to many peoples, languages, and beliefs. For centuries, diverse communities, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Parsis, and others, lived together in shared towns and markets, speaking different languages but often working side by side. The diversity of this land was not a weakness, but a strength, a source of cultural richness and creativity. Empires like the Mughals brought centralized rule and introduced Persian art, architecture, and culture. Cities like Delhi, Lahore, and Agra flourished. Local kingdoms preserved regional traditions. South India, with its Dravidian roots, offered another shade to the spectrum of Indian identity. The Indian Ocean trade flourished, linking India to Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. From silk to spices, the world came to India, and India reached out to the world. It was a place of prosperity and complexity. Then came the British. Arriving first as traders through the East India Company, they gradually took control through diplomacy, alliances, and warfare. By the mid-19th century, the British Crown ruled over the subcontinent. The British Raj governed over 400 million people. They introduced new legal systems, railways, and education, but also policies that emphasized administrative and religious divisions. They conducted censuses that categorized people by religion and language. Over time, these classifications deepened differences that had once coexisted. Part 2. The rise of nationalism. In the late 19th century, a growing sense of Indian identity began to emerge. The Indian National Congress was formed in 1885, bringing together people from across the region who sought a greater role in governance and, eventually, independence. The Congress promoted secular nationalism, where people of all communities would be treated equally. Leaders like Dadabhai Naoroji, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Annie Besant, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale advocated for self-rule. But some communities, especially Muslims, felt their concerns might be sidelined in a future Hindu-majority democracy. These concerns were not only about religion, but also about representation, cultural preservation, and security. In 1906, the All India Muslim League was formed to protect Muslim interests. It began as a moderate body, working within the framework of British rule. However, as tensions grew, so did political differences. Events like the partition of Bengal in 1905, and later its reversal, heightened the sense of vulnerability among Muslims in some regions. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a brilliant lawyer and once a member of the Congress, emerged as a key figure in the Muslim League. Initially a believer in Hindu-Muslim unity, he later became disillusioned with Congress leadership. He championed the rights of Muslims and later became the leading advocate for the creation of Pakistan. His transformation was a reflection of the changing political climate and the growing rift between visions of a united and a divided India. Part 3. World War II and the Final Push. World War II had a dramatic impact on the British Empire. Economically strained and politically exhausted, Britain struggled to maintain its colonies. Indian leaders, sensing an opportunity, intensified their demands for independence. The global atmosphere was also shifting. Nations in Asia and Africa were beginning to rise against colonial rule. In 1942, the Congress launched the Quit India movement, calling for an immediate end to British rule. The British responded with mass arrests. Meanwhile, the Muslim League grew stronger, positioning itself as the sole representative of Indian Muslims and demanding a separate nation called Pakistan. The League's Lahore Resolution in 1940 had already laid the foundation for this demand. The war years deepened political divisions. Communal riots broke out in some regions. Trust between the Congress and the League weakened. British leaders realized that maintaining a united India might no longer be possible. International pressure, especially from the United States, also urged decolonization. As the war ended in 1945, Britain began preparing for withdrawal. But the central question remained: could India remain united, or was partition inevitable? Part 4. The Partition Plan. In 1947, Lord Mountbatten arrived as the last Viceroy of India. He was tasked with overseeing the transition from British rule to independence. After intense negotiations and mounting unrest, the British government decided to partition India. It was a hasty and complex decision, made under immense pressure. Pakistan would be created as a homeland for Muslims, with two wings, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, separated by over 1,000 miles of Indian territory. This geographic oddity created challenges from the very beginning. To draw the borders, a British lawyer named Cyril Radcliffe was appointed. He had never visited India and was given just 5 weeks to complete the task. His decisions would change lives forever. Maps, population statistics, and reports guided his hand, but they couldn't capture the human lives that would be affected. The Radcliffe Line divided Punjab in the west and Bengal in the east. It cut through homes, farms, rivers, and roads. Families woke up one day in a different country. People waited in uncertainty, unsure which side of the new border they would end up on. Rumors spread. Anxiety rose. Part 5. Migration and Violence. August 15, 1947. Independence. Celebration. But also fear. Over 15 million people embarked on the largest mass migration in history. Muslims moving to Pakistan and Hindus and Sikhs moving to India. It was a movement of hope and of heartbreak. Some journeys were organized. Many were chaotic. Trains filled with hopeful passengers sometimes arrived with no survivors. Caravans were attacked. Entire villages fled overnight. Fields once green with harvest turned into makeshift refugee camps. The bonds of community, built over generations, unraveled in weeks. The scale of the violence stunned the world. Some cities burned for days. Rivers ran red. Families clutched faded photographs as they fled across borders, unsure if they would ever return. The violence was not uniform. It varied across regions, but the trauma was widespread. Women were especially vulnerable, with many abducted or assaulted. Children were lost or orphaned. Families were separated, never to reunite. Official estimates of the death toll vary widely, from 200,000 to over 1 million. Yet amid the tragedy, there were also acts of compassion. Neighbors protected each other. Strangers shared food and shelter. Many chose humanity over hatred. These quiet acts of courage must not be forgotten. Part 6. The Legacy. India and Pakistan began their journeys as sovereign nations, full of hope but also burdened by trauma. Each had to define its identity, draft a constitution, and heal its wounds. They had to build schools, hospitals, and institutions from scratch, all while managing displaced populations and economic challenges. Kashmir became a disputed territory. Multiple wars were fought. Political tensions rose and fell. But so did trade, cultural exchange, and people-to-people connections. Despite official hostilities, the shared heritage, language, cuisine, music remained strong. The legacy of partition lives on. Families still remember the night trains, the lost homes, the ancestral lands left behind. Museums and memorials are now being created to preserve these memories. Oral history projects have recorded the voices of survivors, voices that carry sorrow, strength, and hope Films, literature, and music on both sides reflect shared pain and shared heritage. Writers like Sada Hassan Manto captured the emotional toll. Poets like Faiz voiced a longing for peace. Despite differences, India and Pakistan remain bound by language, history, and human experience. Part 7, Reflection. What if partition had not happened? Would there have been civil war? Or could federal structure have worked? Would greater dialogue have prevented violence? These are questions historians still debate. There are no certain answers. But history teaches us the value of dialogue, empathy, and inclusion. The story of 1947 is not only about geography. It's about identity, belonging, and the cost of division. It's a story that still shapes political discourse, international relations, and the lives of millions on both sides. It's a reminder that decisions made in distant offices can reshape the lives of millions. That prejudice, fear, and mistrust can have devastating consequences. And that healing takes time, courage, and understanding. This is how one country became two. A story of transformation, of heartbreak and hope. A chapter that shaped South Asia and still echoes today. Let us remember it not with blame, but with reflection, not to divide, but to understand. Because only through understanding can we move forward toward peace, respect, and unity. Today, as new generations come of age, they must choose how to remember 1947 as a story of loss or a lesson for building a better tomorrow. The past cannot be changed, but the future can be shaped, and it begins with understanding. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful.